So I've opened Tilt Brush from the apps. You can find them over here. You do want to link to your Gmail account. So I've already signed in. It'll take you out if you haven't linked it yet. You'll open it up in browser and then have to relaunch Tilt Brush. So just log into your account to link everything. There's also this Sketchfab which I haven't linked it to because it was just easier to use my Gmail account. So now that we're in Tilt Brush and it's loaded, this is your creating area. So go ahead and press New Sketch. So I'm going to release this tutorial alongside a PowerPoint presentation. But just so you can see, if you use your left controller to use the joystick to flip left and right, you can see your brushes, your color palette, your main tools, some environment stuff. Those are the main ones. And if you link down here, then this is where you can save your sketch. Link to your accounts, go to your sketchbook and view prior sketches, delete one. There's beginner mode, which you can flip through anytime. This just has less options. We're going to do advanced mode because honestly they're both pretty easy and intuitive. And a lot of Tilt Brush, like anything in VR, is just exploring and then getting to know the tricks, like with any software. So, yeah, this is the color palette. To use this, you just point, click, and drag, and then to change the intensity, pull and click on the right side tab to change the intensity of the color. So let's start off, and I'll have something in like a nice vibrant blue, so I can kind of pick that shade. Okay. So I'm going to flip here to brushes, start off really basic. So if I use these arrow keys at the bottom, it starts with some ones that mimic oil painting or ink drawing, etc. Highlighter, pinched and flat edges. If I go right here, you have some more fun ones. A lot of these are animated. Smoke effect, ember effect, fire effect, rainbow effect. You know, for the first project, really just explore. Make something totally crazy. Get very inventive. More crazy ones. And then a lot of these on this final page, like the matte hull, you can use to create and these lofted ones you can use to start making 3D forms. So you can make like more textured shells to contain objects. So it'll give you a vague idea of what your brush already looks like when you just start drawing it in the air. That's kind of what it's going to look like. So let's start, pretty simple here with a kind of a basic. Just pretend that I'm making like an oil painting. So now I have an oil painting selected in color blue. We'll get to some of these later, but if you wanted to change the environment, the lighting, if you click on environment, click, and it'll load. Now I'm in like a night sky, etc. You can change the lighting. I'm not going to mess with this yet because it can really change the colors. So let's not mess with lighting for now. Anytime you want to get rid of a menu, by the way, you can always grab it with the side button, like you see me triggering that, and just toss it away. Gone. Guides. So here's some great drawing guides. If you wanted to draw something on a sphere or on a cube, you could press this, import it. Now you've got a kind of basic sphere. So if you wanted to make like a planet or something, you can do that. You can change the size of objects and your drawing by grabbing it with both of these side buttons. These are the grab buttons. So you can see by doing this, I'm changing the scale of the environment. This is a person scale. This is if I were an elephant. It gives you these helpful guides to show you how big that environment is, and you can see the background changes with that. You can change the whole platform by clicking and dragging anywhere in the environment. So if you're working in something that's really large and you want to rotate it, get a better view at it, you're making a whole world, you can shrink your world down so that you're tiny, and you can make it huge. Pretty crazy, pretty cool. And you can rotate to get any angle on what you're doing by just while you're holding those grab buttons, by clicking and dragging it around at any angle of rotation. Okay, so some other tools. The eraser erases, dropper, pick any color, just like Photoshop, recolor. There's a redoing it. Selection will be useful when we start grouping and ungrouping. Teleporting lets me move around. Straight edge, exactly what it sounds like, drawing in a straight edge instead of freeform. Mirror introduces a mirror, so it'll create a mirror image of whatever you're working on, really good for symmetry. So yeah, that's the basic overview. Let's start creating a little something so you see what it's like. So, now I'm drawing. Oh, and by the way, just, I had this selected, so if you can't really, right now it's this selection tool. If I hold and grab this down, I'll select that object. It's good for grouping multiple objects and also for duplicating grouped objects or solo objects. But when you click and drag and highlight one of these brushes, now you see you're back to the brush. So if I start drawing on this sphere, for instance, I'll see how it sticks to the sphere. It's a nice 3D object base. So it's really good, like once I made a whole replication of the solar system, and this is how I did that easily. You can change you see the size, let's rotate that a little bit, the size of my brush is small right now, but I can change that at any time by using, and once you select it, the joystick. So you can change the size of that significantly. So if you want to do a really free-form, quick planet kind of a thing, there you go, easy peasy. And you can change that at any time by pushing up and then selecting left to right. Now let's say that I wanted to start adding some detail. Maybe I'm going to stick with a oil paint for now, and then start adding little islands or continents or something. So I select green. Again, trigger is always selecting. Make this tinier, and I can start adding a little bit of green to this planet. Maybe I can go to gray, start adding some wisps of, it's more like a light purple, but you get the idea, some wisps of clouds, atmosphere, something like that. And this kind of shows you what the interior of that shell looks like. Right now it's not a finished, globe or continent. In fact, all of this is separate. So anyway, let's get this back to making my little planet here. Alright, there we go. Now it's a little bit more finished of a ball. So you can get incredibly detailed with this if I wanted to, but I'm just kind of going to show you some quick options. And then if I wanted to experiment with different brushes, let's say that I want to add like some smokiness for atmosphere. So pick something, yeah, like, no, maybe like a blue, gray kind of a thing. Changed my brush. There you go. Now you got some nice haze atmosphere around this planet. Ooh. Oh, and if you hold down B, it'll show you a quick select tool. Eraser, dropper, recolor, selection, pin your model. Right now, all of these are all separate elements, but if I wanted to combine them, I go to my selection tool, I'd hold down this green, select all of that like that, and now go to group selection. It's grouped. So now if I go back to selection, I can grab this, I can change the size of it, and now I have, it's one combined object now. You can even save this object for later if you wanted. So that's a good basis. Let's go into drawing maybe like a portrait. Show the mirror tool a little bit. So if I'm looking at this dead on, I go into my brushes. Let's say I think I like the glowing dots. Yeah, glowing dots. So if I wanted to make some kind of like a fractal helix thing, I could just click and drag, and so it's going to mirror anything on the other side. And of course you can change the size of those dots, make them huge, make some really intricate thing. So I could make some kind of environment like that and then place my planets in them. So just some basic kind of stuff, a couple minutes. So experiment, and we'll get into some more of these extra effects like duplicating and grouping and importing models a little bit later. All right.